speaking to this motion on censure.
Senator has the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I feel compelled to make an observation about this discussion. And I think the fact that the body is spending so much time to speak to this actually says something really profound about the body and about how seriously we take our responsibility as members of the Senate, how we uphold the dignity of our position, how important it is that we treat one another with respect, and how seriously we take that obligation. I think that despite our party and despite political differences, we have come to work together and to remember that our first obligation is to those that we represent and then to one another. And during my tenure in this body, there has never been a time that outside my interaction with the senator who's the subject of this censure, aside from that senator, there has never been a time that any other member of this body has ever been deceitful, openly dishonest, or has conducted themselves with anything other than the utmost dignity that is becoming of a senator. They have respected the rules. They have treated Madam Clerk with respect, and they've treated me and others with respect. And I think that the fact that we are spending the time on this says something about how seriously we take our obligation to act in a way that is becoming of a senator, of someone who has taken this oath and taken on the responsibility to those that we represent to behave in a way that would make them proud and would not squander the effort that they made to elect that member and then send them to this body where their dignity is undermined, their value is squandered, and their ability to engage with their colleagues is basically destroyed. And so with that, I have to say that I have been incredibly disappointed and embarrassed by someone who has once was in our caucus, was in our party, and is no longer in her own party, in her own county. The fact that that association in the party remains is, to me, embarrassing. And so I feel compelled to say on the Senate floor that I find it so distressing that this has continued, and the fact that we as a body are willing to take the time to speak to this while there are obviously critical issues before this body, again, I think speaks to the fact that this is something that we take seriously. And the fact that we're willing to pay so much attention to the lack of respect and to the profanity and to the way that the Capitol Police have been treated, it is worth acknowledging. And it's worth acknowledging in front of one another and in front of those that we serve and in front of all of Virginia to say that that is not behavior that is becoming to a senator and in becoming to a member of the legislature, nor is it behavior that any of us would ever sanction. And so I would be remiss if I did not join my colleagues in expressing my views on that, because I am asked time and time and time again, and in advance of this session was asked repeatedly for my views on one of my colleagues. And the fact that it is such a distraction, and such a distraction at a time when we have so much business to do in Virginia, it's important to actually address it. And then I ask that we please move on. But it's important, and I appreciate the senator who has brought this, that he has brought it in a dignified way, that he brought it to the body as he has. And I appreciate my colleagues in my caucus for the willingness to stand up and be honest and authentic and to address what is actually a real issue among our body and among our caucus. And so with that, Mr. President, I appreciate the opportunity to speak to the censure.